In this installment, we have an NFC North battle here for Monday Night Football between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Let's get into this Draftkings slate. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for our Monday Night Football slate on DraftKings between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Guys, before I deep dive into this very intriguing slate, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessNetChefD. Don't forget about that TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about the Patreon. We are currently at the homepage right now for the YouTube. We are at 1.47 thousand subscribers. Let's continue to push that forward. The next goal is 1.48 and obviously 1.5. And then the next goal after that will be 2K. Let's continue to push that narrative forward as I continue to bring you this free content. All right, before we get to the DraftKings slate and the captains and the flex positions, we gotta look at the injury report right now. For the Minnesota Vikings, obviously Justin Jefferson, they are holding him out. He is not going to be playing in this game. Matter of fact, let me double check that again. Justin Jefferson, he does say he's on the IR, but listed as questionable for Monday's game against Bears, but is considered unlikely to be activated from IR. So he can be activated, but obviously they are waiting. Maybe if they get this win here, they're trying to see seeding as well. Is it worth it? Is he going to be 100% back? They want Justin Jefferson 110% before they put him out on the field yet again. All right. Any other questionable tags for Minnesota? That is going to be a no. Kyrus Tonga, who's the D tackle. That's not going to be much of a factor in the DraftKings slate on that defensive side of the football. All right. Now, next we have the Chicago Bears. We have one big out here. Maybe we can find some value here because D'Onta Foreman is going to be out in this game here with the ankle and shin issue. That's going to leave it to Khalil Herbert and their backup running back in Roschon Johnson, their rookie. We've been waiting. He had a couple big games at the beginning of the season. Has been behind D'Onta Foreman. Now D'Onta Foreman is going to be injured. Khalil Herbert is back and healthy, and this is going to give this rookie an opportunity to get some snaps here as the backup to Khalil Herbert. All right. Other than that, we have Larry Borom. He's going to be out as a guard. Noah Sewell, linebacker, out, and cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, he's going to be out. So some major losses here on that Chicago Bears defense. All right, let's get into the captain plays. Starting at the captain spot, we're going to go all the way to the top here. We're going to start looking at the two quarterbacks on both sides. All right, both of these guys are super dynamic, have upside utilizing their legs. That's going to be Justin Fields, and that's going to be Joshua Dobbs. Both of these guys are going to be viable at that captain spot. Who do you think, even if you don't see one team winning more than the other, both of these guys can be that X factor that can take you to the top of the leaderboard. Justin Fields, he's come back from his injury early in the season. First game, we're looking at in week 11 against Detroit, 24 fantasy points, even had a fumble, but still didn't matter. He had over 100 yards rushing. He also put in over 100 yards passing and a TD. Dual threat here in Justin Fields. He looks back and ready from that performance we saw in week 11 against the Detroit Lions. So now he's going to be ready for this Minnesota defense. They don't give up a lot deep, so they're going to force Justin Fields to beat them in intermediate and short routes. Okay, so that's going to be the way. It's going to be deke and dunks for Justin Fields. All right, because that's the defense that they're running right now. For the Minnesota, they're running a cover 8. So they're making sure that everything is covered deep. And if you're going to beat them, you got to beat them short and intermediate and make guys miss. All right. So Justin Fields is going to be a guy we can look at for that captain spot. All right, we'll throw him in the mix. Next guy, obviously, Joshua Dobbs. He's been on fire since he came over from the Cardinals to the Minnesota Vikings. This man has been on whole entire another level here, looking like a premier quarterback. We're looking at 24 fantasy points against Arizona, 26 against Atlanta, 25 against New Orleans, and then 19 against Denver. All right, all providing upside rushing that football as well. And he has, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if we can go continue 5 games in a row of a rushing touchdown. So, hey, that's a prop out there that you want to look at. Joshua Dobbs utilizing his legs. He can also do it with his arm as well. He's learning offenses in an instant, all right? The fact that he came over from this team to that team and he fits in totally well. He is your pros pro. I'm loving the prospects of Joshua Dobbs. And this is a very good matchup for him against the Chicago Bears defense. They're 25th ranked against the pass, but they're good against the run. That's because they give up so much in the passing game. That's why you see that big discrepancy. So that's going to bode well for Josh Dobbs, and that's going to also bode well for his pass catchers, who we're going to be talking about really, really soon. All right, that number one pass catcher we're going to be talking about will be TJ Hockenson. If you want to go this route, have TJ Hockenson at that captain spot, by all means do so. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to that tight end position, the Chicago Bears are the 6th worst. All right, they're giving up 11.4 fantasy points per game to that tight end position, and this is an elite tight end. So that 11 fantasy points, that can be exasperated to 20, 25, even 30, like he did against the New Orleans Saints in Week 10. 33 fantasy points there. 11 receptions, 134 yards, and a touchdown. That's the possibilities that TJ Hockenson and Joshua Dobbs are going to be putting on the table here in this matchup. So, love Hockenson as a captain's play to get away from these two quarterbacks, but obviously we're going to have them in each and every one of our lineups, all right? We're not going to fade Fields or Dobbs. They're going to be in each and every one of our lineups because of the upside with their legs, all right? TJ Hockenson is another fine play to go with. DJ Moore is our next candidate at captain, all right? We're talking about a guy that can win at all levels, all right? Not only deep, he can win short and intermediate. DJ Moore is the number one wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, and he got acclimated right back with Justin Fields here in Week 11, 7 of 96, and a touchdown. They did not miss a beat. So 22 fantasy points in that one. I like DJ Moore to combat the Minnesota Vikings defense yet again. He can take any catch, short or intermediate, and take it all the way to the house. He's looking like he has some extra pep in his step with his new lease on life here with the Chicago Bears. So I like DJ Moore as a captain play as well. Let's continue to go down. Other than Hockenson, the other lead wide receiver here for the Minnesota Vikings will be Jordan Addison. With the absence of Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison has stepped up in a few games, all right? He struggled as of late, but earlier when Justin Jefferson was out, we saw 34 fantasy points against the San Francisco 49ers and 21 fantasy points against Green Bay Packers. Already in this young career, this rookie has 7 touchdowns already this season, leading all rookies at that wide receiver position this year. So love Jordan Addison as a captain play if you want to go that route as well. So we got a lot of options here. Get really, really creative. If I'm choosing anyone else, I think that's it for the captain plays, all right? Addison, Fields, Dobbs, Hockenson, DJ Moore. Maybe with the flex plays, when I go through those, maybe you feel confident enough with the way I break it down that you can throw one of them up there to save some salary. Well, as of right now, these are going to be the captain plays. Let's go into the flex. On to the flex plays. The first guy we're going to be talking about will be Alexander Mattison. Now, when I showed you that the Bears are pretty good against the run, that's only because they give up so much against the pass. That's why it's a little bit of a discrepancy here. The teams get up on the Bears just throwing all around, and then at the end of the game they can run and obviously run the clock out. So Madison is still going to be viable in lineups as a flex play if you want to go that route. He doesn't do much in the receiving game. He's going to have to do it rushing the football over 15 times, so that's going to be a positive. and he only gets like 1 or 2 receptions a game. All right, that's the most. He's going to need to take advantage of that. He's been very subpar all season long, but this is a matchup, like I said, Chicago, that he can take advantage of because they are just a poor team all around. In the previous matchup in week 6, he had 11.2 fantasy points. All right, so if you want to, hey, he's giving you over double digit. If you can get in the end zone, that's going to be a little bit better there for Alexander Madison. Now for the Chicago Bears side here, running back Khalil Herbert. So 1-2 punch here between Herbert and Roschon Johnson. This matchup is another tough one here. 7th ranked overall against opposing running backs here, the Minnesota Vikings, and they are home, so that's going to be another bonus there. They're going to be highly motivated in this matchup. Khalil Herbert did not face the Minnesota Vikings in week 6, so we have no going back earlier this season here. But in previous work, while Khalil Herbert was healthy, he's getting double-digit rushing attempts. He's getting a nice handful of receptions there, so you can see some upside. Can he create? That's going to be a big question mark here. Last year, he looked phenomenal. This year has been very up and down, and he's been hampered. All right, Khalil Herbert, I'm going to stay away from him as a flex play. I rather prefer Roschon Johnson because he has more upside in the receiving game. We'll get to him very, very soon. Let's continue to go down the list here. Cole Kmet. He always has some upside here to get in the end zone. He had a 2-touchdown game earlier in week 9 against the New Orleans Saints. Against the Chargers, they who struggle against opposing tight ends. He had 17.9 in that game off 10 catches. In week 4, he had 27 fantasy points. So these blow-up spots are coming randomly for Cole Kmet. Do not forget about Cole Kmet. He can be very dangerous and be highly used in that red zone area. So definitely watch out for Cole Kmet, all right? Like him as a tight end flex play in this lineup build that we're going to be doing, all right? For kickers and defenses, let's see. I'm not going to go with Chicago Bears defense. We are going to go with Minnesota defense. They are home. They have advantage there, and both kickers are going to be viable in this game, obviously, because they have strong run defenses there. So maybe in some situations they can stall teams on third down. Greg Joseph is averaging 7.7 points per game, and Cairo Santos is averaging 8.3. So there's upside there in going towards a kicker. And this division battle could be lower scoring. They know each other. NFC North. So defense, kickers, it makes sense here in that type of lineup build. All right. If you see that game going that way, we're leaning to Vikings and both kickers. All right. Now, some other flex plays. Let's clear this out and see if we can find some gems. The first one, like I told you before, we're going to be going with Roschon Johnson. Now, how cheap is Roschon? Where are you, Roschon? Oh, wow. $3,000. All right. $3,000 in Roschon Johnson. A lot of people are going to be going with Khalil Herbert because he's the number 1. But Roschon is going to get an opportunity to be that number 2. He should get a lot of work. And if this is a blowout, all right, if the things get carried away, Roschon comes in, he's going to get a lot of dump downs. We saw against Carolina, 4 for 14. Let's look at earlier in the season where he was highly utilized in that receiving game. All right, in week 1 against Green Bay, 6 for 35. All right, that was a positive sign to see. Against the Chargers, we saw 3 for 10. So he has the ability to catch balls. And he has a decent yards per carry. He's going to be around that 4.5 yards per carry, close to 5 yards per carry for Roschon Johnson, this rookie. He's still learning, but has a lot of potential here. I'm going to be considering him as a flex play. All right, cheap flex play there. All right, as we continue to go a little bit lower, KJ Osborne is the number 2 wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Addison has been struggling. So has KJ Osborne, as you can see, 1.7 and 3.7 in the last past 2 weeks. But he does have some upside against Green Bay at 17.9. He works well in the slot. That's where he wins on most of his routes. He had 9.7 against San Francisco in that game. If you want to get a little bit sneakier there, this is a guy you can look at in that wide receiver core with Justin Jefferson out. So they're going to be leaning on Osborne and Addison and Hockenson. Obviously, Hockenson's that number one option in that offense, but do not forget about KJ Osborne. All right, let's see if we can find some other gems as we can continue to go even lower here. Chandler has been having a few bright spots here. He's been running better than Madison. So this can be another situation here. Hey, let's move away from Madison. He has been inefficient. Look at the last 2 games of Ty Chandler. I think this is where we can get the value. The backup running backs. Roschon Johnson on the Bears, because Roschon is better than Khalil Herbert. And then Ty Chandler, he's better than Madison. We're going to go Ty Chandler over Madison in our builds, all right? Look at the past 2 weeks. Efficiency, 10 for 73. And then against New Orleans Saints, tough matchup, 15. Tough running, got in the end zone. We saw 2 games in a row of double-digit fantasy points, and they're relying on him a little bit more. So, love Ty Chandler, love Roschon Johnson. I'm saying this now, over the starters, okay? So that's where we can get some value and pay up, because you want to pay up for Hockenson, you want to pay up for Fields, you want to pay up for Dobbs. So that's where we're going to find some salary saving kickers and defenses and these backup running backs, all right? Now, anyone other than that, Brandon Powell has been a sneaky guy that's been getting just enough. And he's a speedster there. They're using him in a lot of screens. Look at the consistency we've seen with Josh Dobbs and Brandon Powell. It's another flex play here that we can look at. 3 for 32, 4 targets. 4 for 35, 5 targets. Against Atlanta, 2 for 15, but got in the end zone. So you're seeing the upside. He's a speedster, small body frame type wide receiver. Brandon Powell's a very sneaky play. I think that's the cheapest I would go. Darnell Mooney is also a guy you do not want to forget about, because he can take one catch and take it all the way to the house. He has that speed upside element as well. But other than that, we're not going to go cheaper than Brandon Powell. Other than that, these are second and third, almost fourth strings when we were talking about all Josh Oliver and Equinemius St. Brown. I don't think we need to go that far, because we're saving salary and key guys like Ty Chandler, Brandon Powell, Roschon Johnson. All right, so the main guys that we're going to have in each and every one of our lineups. We're going to start things off with Hockenson. I think he's one of my favorite plays. Hockenson, and then both quarterbacks. We want Dobbs and we want Fields, because they have so much potential with their legs. These are going to be the core 3 in each and every one of our lineups, and then we can fit in some other guys. Obviously, we still have a ton of salary to pay up for DJ Moore. If you want to go, hey, we're not going Herbert, we go with some the backup running back there, and you're saving a ton of salary right there. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back with another video very, very soon, guys. Peace out.